Today I'm very excited to be speaking with Louise Kyhl Triolo from San Francisco, but she travels all around the world and in particular back to Toulouse in France because that is where Airbus has their headquarters. Now Louise has the amazing title of Vice President of Intrapreneurial Culture at Airbus. And Airbus is a global aerospace company. Now, that's not a title you see too often. So I was really keen to find out the backstory of how Louise came to be in that role, which we're going to be diving into in just a moment. So thank you so much, Louise, for your time today. I know it's evening where you are in San Fran.
Right.
It's broad daylight over here. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your evening. Now, before we jump into your story, let me just start with asking you, first of all, what is your definition of intrapreneurialism, and why do you feel that it is important right now for organizations to be embracing intrapreneurialism?
Right. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to this interview. So my definition of entrepreneurialism, I call it an art. For me, it's the art of transforming and reinventing established companies and institutions by fostering, nurturing, and growing internal entrepreneurial talent. The idea, of course, to create new business, new products, new cultures, new systems. But that's basically what it is. I believe that entrepreneurs transform business, and that it's absolutely key today that we're focusing on these people, on these skills, on this talent that has that capability to help us see into the future and see around corners.
Yes. Yeah, and that's obviously why it's very important in this world, in this VUCA world that's transforming so exponentially, for organizations that want to stay relevant to really embrace this whole movement of intrapreneurialism.
Absolutely. I think there's it's a wonderful opportunity that we have now to put the focus on this way of working and exploration and a culture of experimentation and basically that's what we need, a mindset of exploration so that we can think big and come up with new innovative ideas.
Yes. I'm curious, when did you first become exposed to the term intrapreneurialism and the whole notion of developing intrapreneurs? Because it's still a term that's not mainstream for many people. People still say to me, "Oh, you mean entrepreneurs?" And I go, "No, intrapreneurs." So when were you first exposed to it, and how did it come onto your radar?
So how it came onto my radar was about 3 years ago, as I was launching our this massive, huge innovation initiative called Dream Big, which was about inspiring all our employees to come up with big breakthrough ideas for transforming Airbus and help us shape the future. And it was more than an innovation initiative, basically a cultural transformation from the bottom up. And I didn't just want to dream and dream big and not do anything about it, but actually make sure that we were going to make stuff. We were going to incubate. Exactly, do right.
Yes.
Test these ideas and increase the learning of innovation capability within Airbus and provide that to our people. And so it actually came quite naturally. It was there, and I started looking into what entrepreneurship is, and we were doing it. It was entrepreneurship in action. So we started an entrepreneurial journey then.
Excellent, wonderful. So now is the time for me to ask you, how did this come about that you've actually got this official role of Vice President of Intrapreneurial Culture? I've never come across that title before. I was so excited when I first discovered you. And so tell us a little bit about the journey that took you into that role. And then after that, what you do in that role.
Sure. So Well, the journey is, of course, is not just overnight. I would say it takes time. It all started, as I said, 2 years ago with this Dream Big initiative, which is really entrepreneurship in action, which morphed into, I would say, becoming part of our strategy. So entrepreneurship became part of our strategy as a business strategy, a way of driving change. And what I found was that, well, one of the biggest lessons learned, I would say, from Dream Big was that we were not able to sustain the change that we wanted to see. So we'd woken up a lot of our employees and created a lot of hope on an entrepreneurial journey, but our culture, our system, the conditions were not yet in place in order to really grow this. And so it got me thinking that basically what we needed was to put the focus on the entrepreneurial side of our culture. And so I proposed this title, and got the go ahead to sustain the initiative, basically. So yes, I've got a mandate now to push this entrepreneurship into the heart of Airbus.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. And I love the way you've explained that, because, you know, culture is what determines so much of what happens inside an organization. We can have the strategy, we can have technology, but what happens as part of our culture is what will make the difference to whether things will stick when you introduce innovation and new initiatives. So tell us a little bit about, you know, any hurdles that you might have had to overcome in the process of building this sustainable entrepreneurial culture within Airbus?
Of course.
I'm sure there were plenty.
Of course. I mean, a culture change is a very vast topic, and it really commands sustained energy, I think, and focus.
Yes.
To be able to drive these massive changes that need to happen. So I say that we're in the process today of creating this culture. What I'm doing is I'm federating a multifunctional team. Now, for the past 6 months, we've come together to define what the vision is. Where is it that we want to go with this? What's the impact we want to create? How do we define entrepreneurship at Airbus? What does that mean? We're looking at the framework that is needed, the policy, the new set of rules to get this going, because we're very good at, we have all our rules for the operating system today, right? That is working very well today, but not for the system for tomorrow. Yes. So we're looking into creating actually the role of an entrepreneur, have it as a status almost in the organization, a career path. And what does that mean in terms of compensation and benefits, of recognition, of the learning that needs to go with it. So that's the focus, what we're trying to do now, and we're working on across the organization. Really dig into the hard stuff, the deep structural changes that need to happen.
That's amazing. You're actually building a career pathway for intrapreneurs within Airbus. Oh,
that's what we're working on, yes.
That's very exciting. We might have to have a follow-up interview in a year or two to find out how that's all working. So about that then, how do you find your intrapreneurs?
So I don't think we have like a one common approach today. It's been mainly through incentive challenges and challenges that we've sent out into the organization. We do have innovation labs as well, who are specifically who take on entrepreneurs with new ideas. And so here it's we have open slots, and we get people's ideas, and then they pitch them and so forth, and then go into an acceleration process, I would say. So it's very much today, I would say, a pull approach.
Yeah.
Right. And we're looking at, do we need to have more self-identification ways of going about it? But we're building that as we speak today.
Yeah.
So, but up until now, it's been mainly through challenges.
Right. Okay. So you've been on this journey for a little while, and Airbus has been on this journey for a while. Are you able to identify any specific outcomes as yet that you're seeing as a result of this new focus on building the intrapreneurial culture? Is it too early to tell, or are you able to share some examples with us?
I think it's still early. These things, unfortunately, do take a lot of time to change. I mean, we see pockets of change within the organization, especially around the innovation. Again, our innovation centers, our innovation labs, our proto spaces, and so forth, which is more hubs for entrepreneurs to gather, where there is change happening there. I would say in the main organization, and we have 135,000 people across the whole organization and in the world.
That's huge.
Yes, it's very huge. We still have work to do in terms of shifting our culture. We still have work to do.
Absolutely. It's like steering the Titanic when you've got 135,000 people globally. And you've only been on this journey for a couple of years, but how exciting, because you are at the vanguard of this new way of working, and there will be many other organizations, I feel, over the next few years who are going to start embracing this whole movement and this new way of working. So I suspect there might be leaders in different organizations who may listen to this interview,
right,
and they might be thinking, well, I wonder what I can take away from this interview and Louise's experiences that I can implement within my organization. So if I was to ask you what insights you had for other leaders in different organizations, what would be some of your maybe top 3 pieces of advice or key insights for how to build entrepreneurial culture?
Yeah. I think as with all culture change initiative, it has to have the mandate from the top. I would say the CEO very much needs to be behind this. It has to be part of the company strategy. It has to be part of the business strategy. I would say I've noticed in some organizations, it's easy to say, well, we've created an entrepreneurship. We know we do entrepreneurship. We have an entrepreneurial culture, and then you find out that what they have created is an incubation or an incubator or an accelerator, and haven't actually looked at the full global perspective. And I think that's something that has to be taken into account up front, to say, okay, we want to do this as a global approach. We have to look at what is it in our culture that needs to change? What is the framework? Let's co-create with our functions such as HR, legal, procurement, who are some of the foundational functions who drive, the agility of our processes, basically. Yes. And so that's the real focus. Keep your HR very close in hand to drive this, and start finding some role models in terms of leaders within the organization who are already doing this, who are already creating the conditions for their teams to come up with new ideas, to think differently, to challenge the status quo, to solve problems in a different way. That would probably be my key 3 top recommendations, and I have many more.
I know, but it's late.
People want to know.
Well, we will continue the conversation, so we will perhaps explore those at a later stage even further. But But maybe I could just wrap up our conversation by asking you what you feel is the future of intrapreneurialism, both as a global movement and as a new way of doing work, and then more specifically within Airbus.
Right.
So tell me your perspective about the future of intrapreneurialism.
So for me, I think for me is the way that we have to go about reinventing our, in a larger aspect, our society, our governments, our institutions, the way that it opens up to so many possibilities that I think in today's world we have locked ourselves in rules and systems and basically the status quo, and we're quite unable to move away from that fast. And so I believe that intrapreneurialism can help break free some of these very hardwired ways of doing work today, and how we've set up our society and our governments and the way we live. So that's a grand aspect. I really truly believe that we can help our world through intrapreneurialism.
Absolutely.
To get to a better place, and that goes hand in hand for a company like Airbus.
Yeah.
I mean, today we know that the average lifespan of companies have gone down to, I believe, 15 years, right? And in 2027, 12 years. What does that mean for these great, huge companies who are employing lots of people and who are making absolutely wonderful products? So how can we use this intrapreneurialism and entrepreneurship approach to really rethink who we are? Create a new identity for ourselves.
Yes.
There's those kind of skills and mindset that I believe is very, very important.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful way of really explaining the whole world and this new movement that we're finding ourselves a part of. Congratulations on the work that you're doing in Airbus, and I know that it's early days, so let's make another appointment for 2 years down the track.
Absolutely, with great pleasure.
Yeah, we'll talk about more about what's happened inside of Airbus,
yes,
and how you're reaping the rewards of this hard work and this new way of doing work. And we'll hear about how those ripples are flowing across the organisation, across the whole world, and with your 135,000 employees who are thinking and doing differently as intrapreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.